Hey guys, I wanted to start off today by going over the urgent announcement that I posted on Friday in our Google Classroom. So I have that up here, and if you click on it, it's just explaining that, after kind of polling you guys in the classroom and talking a lot with Mrs. Benish, I've scaled things way back in order to achieve the advanced standing credits that most of you really, really want to still get out of this school year. We can get to chapter 16. I have a pathway. It will be a little bit more work than we would have had otherwise, but it's a whole lot less work than we would have done in the classroom had we not moved to online learning. So, just to clarify, going forward, we are only doing work together on your own in mastery. And every Monday, I will post work together videos for the chapter that we're in. And on every Wednesday, I will post the answer keys for the on your own problems so that you can check your work before you dive into that mastery problem. This schedule is a suggested schedule, so you will not have, you will not be penalized for not getting work done by these suggested due dates. It's just that if you look at the schedule, it shows you that you can be done with chapter 16 if you roll up your sleeves and you're able to do this. Okay, you'll be able to be done with chapter 16 by Memorial Day weekend. Okay, things I want to point out specifically to you is that after chapter 13, you're going to skip the reinforcement problem. Under normal circumstances, that would be one of those things in the classroom. You remember for the sole proprietorship chapter, I was all about you need to do this because it takes you from the beginning to the end of the cycle within that type of business structure. If you get done with chapter 16 and we still have time in the semester, I strongly encourage you to do it. It will only help your grade. It will not hurt it. I will put it in as no count for anybody that it will pull your grade down or you don't get to it. Okay, so that is just, hey, I'm going to roll up my sleeves and I'm feeling like I just want to knock this accounting work out. Then the reinforcement activity is something that I do strongly recommend you do at the end so that you can take all these pieces in corporate accounting from beginning to end. Okay, so again, these are suggested due dates, and this shows you the road to completion. The hardest chapter for you is going to be chapter 16 because there's a lot of parts to it, and that's only because there's a lot of parts to it, not necessarily that the content is that hard. Okay, but you've got lots of time to work on it. So along the way, I strongly recommend that if you are falling behind, you're struggling to stay on top of things, that you reach out to me. I will continue to modify for you as much as possible. You do not need to do all the bits and pieces in every single chapter like we did before. Again, just the work together, the on your own, and the static mastery problem. Okay. If at some point, things work out this way, I am willing to organize a group Google Hangout where we can all be in a Google Hangout meeting together, and I can share out my screen and we can talk about the problems, and I'll set up study sessions when people are available. I want to help you succeed in this class. I don't want it to be something that is stressing you out, but I do want those of you who want to be able to get that advanced standing credit to be able to get it. If you do not get to chapter 16 by the end of the semester, that is okay. Just by Blackhawk Technical College standards, I can't give you the advanced standing credits. Okay, you will not fail accounting, but you can't have the advanced standing credits. Okay, so again, I will help you get there. It is totally possible. I worked this out with Mrs. Benish. We both think that this is a really good pathway forward for you. Okay, if you have any questions about that, then you can reach out to me. Whatever way you're most comfortable with, and I will do everything I can to help you get where you want to be. Okay? So, having said that, let us head on over to chapter 12 and get started with 12-1. Okay? As we go through these problems, again, you need to read your chapter first. To save time in the videos, to make these a whole lot shorter for you, and to give you exactly what you need, I am literally just going to demonstrate the work together problem. You need to read the textbook. I will talk about concepts as they come up and help explain things to you as they come up in the work together problems, but I'm not going to go through the PowerPoint slides with you, and I'm not technically going to spend the video time teaching you. If you need that extra direction from me, then let's set up a Google Hangout and I will work with you individually, or like I said, in a smaller group if we can arrange that. Okay. The good news is chapter 12 is what I think is a pretty easy chapter. And if I think it's easy, that's a good thing, right? So basically, we're just talking about payroll. You know, how we deal with employee compensation. So and how we calculate wages. So just getting started in this first part, all we're doing is figuring time cards. Okay, so if we read the top, the October 15 time card for Alice Webster and the time card data for other employees are provided. Calculate the regular, overtime, and total hours worked by Ms. Webster. Any hours over 8 hours per day or 40 hours per week are considered overtime. So any day that she works more than 8 hours is overtime, and any week that's more than 40 hours total is overtime. Each work week begins on Monday. Record the total hours on the time card, round hours to the nearest quarter hour. So if you read the chapter, you see that we always round time to the nearest hour. So she's clocked in at 7:54 in the morning. Okay, so we're going to round that to 8 o'clock. So that's literally, we are calculating that time, and we are literally going to put 8 hours, right? Because she worked from 8 to 5. Okay, 8 to 5. We're rounding these. So how many hours is that? Well, that's 8. We go 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And somehow I messed that up. We don't count 8. That's why. It's always 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And she's probably got an hour for lunch. Because she does. So if you see she clocked out at 11:57 and clocked back in, there was an hour for lunch there. So we're going to divide this up here. So this plus this equals this. There's 8 hours. Okay. So Tuesday, if we're rounding again, it's 8 to 11. That's 4. And 1 to 5. That's another 8 hours, right? Like I said, this is pretty easy. 7:56. We don't see anything out of the ordinary here. It's another 8, but it looks like we got a little bit of overtime here because she's got some evening hours. So we have 8 till noon is 4 hours. We have 1 until 5 is 4 hours. So that's going to be 8 hours of regular time. And then we have from 6 to 9:30, which is 3.5 hours. So again, we're just, figuring this out. There's formulas in the textbook. If you look on page, if we look on page 349, it gives you, tips and tricks for calculating straight time. Okay, and 347 also has some good stuff. So there's that. And now we've got this weird transition into kind of a second shift. So we have from 1 until 5 is 4 hours, and 6 to 10 is another. So it's just 8 hours of straight time. Over here, 8:01 to noon, and 1 to 5. This seems pretty straightforward. We got someone who likes to get here a smidge late and leave a smidge early, huh? That would be an HR issue. Let's see. Tuesday, 8 till noon, and 1 to 6. Ooh, what do we see here? We have 8 hours of straight time and 1 hour of overtime, right? Okay. And then we've got 8 till noon and 1 to 5. That's our normal 8 hours. We have 8 till noon, 1 to 5. We have 8 till 1 and 2 to 5. Are they throwing you a loop there? They're trying to, right? Because they're definitely trying to, because it's still technically the same hours. She just took her lunch in a different place. And it looks like we got some overtime on Saturday, because anytime you work a Saturday or a Sunday, it's considered overtime. And so we have 3 hours of overtime on Saturday. And then we're back here to 8. So now for this pay period, we have to add all of this up, and we have 88 hours of straight pay, and we have 7.5 hours of overtime. Whoops. Okay. So it's pretty straightforward. You're just calculating the time, checking the time card. We have straight time in this column and overtime in this column. Okay, and then normally you would initial it. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can make my screen just a little bit smaller so that you can see that whole thing for just another quick minute, and then I will put this up here because I don't need it. Okay, so there you go. So now we're gonna grade step 1. Is it mad at me for anything? Oh, it didn't get my 7. Okay, well, whatever. That should be 7.5. Didn't get my 7. It must have, I don't know what I did there, but anyway, there we go. That should be 7.5. All right, the next step we're going to do is it looks like we're going to calculate some pay here. Okay, so this is the time card. And it says the time card for Alice R. Webster and other employees are provided. Enter the regular and overtime hours for Ms. Webster in the earnings schedule. Okay, for each employee, calculate the amount of regular, overtime, and total earnings. Overtime hours are paid 1.5 times the regular rate. Round dollar amounts to the nearest cent. Okay, so regular rate is 9 hours. The overtime, this is showing we've got 9 hours, got 5 hours overtime, 80 hours regular. 80 hours regular, 3 hours overtime, 70 hours irregular. And this is the regular rate for this. So, okay. So again, when we are looking at the schedule, it is on page 348 when it's talking about time clock systems. So that's a good visual. So without wasting any more time for you, because I know these videos are tricky, we've got 80 hours of regular and 5 hours of overtime. So I can tell you our regular earnings are $720 because that is 9 times 80. And then our overtime is $67.50. And that is, let's see, 9 and 450 is $13.50 times 5. And then our total earnings is going to be $787.50. Okay. And the next one, again, that's the easy one, is 8,000. Or sorry, it's 1,000. Oh boy. And our overtime is $56.25. Okay, so time is $12.50 for the straight, and then let's see, $12.50. How it's going to be $6.25 extra, $6.25. 6.5, so it's going to be $18.75 an hour times 3, I think. Okay, and then number 3 is $682.50. Okay, so it's 70 straight hours at $9.75 an hour. Now we need to figure out Alice's. Okay, so Alice is, are they telling us how much she makes? Oh, Alice has 88 hours. So we're putting our hours in, not how much she makes. And then she has 7.5 hours overtime, and that just comes up here. Okay, and that's times 11, so it's going to be $968 for her straight pay, and $123.75 $12.75 for the overtime, which would be half of 11 is $5.50. So we add $5.50 to that, so $16.50 an hour. I don't know how we get $12.70. Oh, yeah, because of the halftime. And then total earnings is $1,091.75. And with that, we are done with this one. And oops, I forgot to add this together. Got ahead of myself. 56.25. And then if we carry that over, because there's no overtime for that pay period, it's just the same number, $682.50. Okay. And that should be that. So I'm gonna grade that. And did I do anything wrong? I did not. And I like that. That's wonderful. Okay. So there you go. That is that part of that. Nice and short and sweet, pretty easy for just figuring out timesheets. Okay. I will record 12-2 next. Again, just make sure that you pause the videos as you need to look at my screen, but just for the sake of keeping these simple, I want to go through as quickly as possible and make these videos short and sweet.